Everyone talks about Austin as the promised land of tech, music, and barbecue. But what if I told you moving there was the biggest mistake I ever made? Let's dive into the untold truths and the darker side of what it's really like living in Austin. Hey, I'm Scott Baxter. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss Austin, Texas, and how it was the biggest and most costly mistake for me and my family 3 years ago when we moved to Texas from Washington State. And I'm going to be absolutely 100% no holds barred honest in this video. Now, the start of the story is about 3 years ago. We were a family of four with two younger kids living in the city of Seattle. We had moved to Seattle, and we'd been there for about 4 years to visit family and friends, and we had been on a journey across the world. So when we moved to Seattle, a lot of things happened in that moment between 2018 and 2022, as you guys might get. I mean, the whole world shut down. Texas was the only open place, so we kept on coming down to Texas again and just visiting because it was open, no masks, you could do whatever you want. So we went down into Austin and picked out, and we're like, we're moving here now. July 2021, we're like, we're out of here. We're out of Washington State. We can't stand Washington State anymore. We love Washington State. We love it. I was born and raised there. I love the mountains. I love the people. But the way it was run made us move to Texas.
Governor, I'd like to ask you about what's going on in Seattle. There's this thing called the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. What's your thought on that? The fact that the protesters have taken that over and not allowing people to come and go freely? And regarding the National Guard.
Well, that's news to me, so I'll have to reserve any comment about it. I have not heard anything about that.
There's lots of Washingtonians that have made the move to Texas as well. I have a lot of clients that are Washingtonians, actually. So let's get into the top 5 reasons we left Austin. Housing prices were skyrocketing. Austin was the #1 place to live and move to in the United States in about 2021, 2022. Everybody seemed like they were moving to Austin. Now, we had picked out our houses. We had just moved out of a 1,400 square foot house with 2 kids. We shared a bathroom with them. Mom and Dad shared a bathroom with the 2 kids. It was pretty tight. When we got down here, everything had multiple offers. And so when we tried to get into a house, we lost many houses, and the prices went up so fast and so much that we were like, well, we might be able to get a 1,500 square foot house now. And that's not why we moved to Texas. We moved to Texas for more room and more freedom. Number 2, when we got to Austin, defund the police was a thing. That's just like Seattle. Hey, we just went to Seattle of Texas. Defund the police. I was out talking with different people. They got their bikes stolen. The crime was just raising in Austin. And they called the police, and the police didn't have enough police officers to even talk to them about getting their bike back. So their bike was just gone because of defund the police. And they said that. And they're like, yeah, defund the police. It's all, they're getting rid of all the police officers, and crime is getting out of hand in Austin. And just moving here from Washington, where all of that is very prevalent in Seattle, very prevalent. You're trying to move to a better life, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm not really living my better life down here, am I? If all this crime and there's no police. So that was something where I decided that we need to check out another town in Texas. I'm sure there's a better choice. Austin was expensive to live. Now, even though the housing prices were going up, everything else was going up. In 2021, Austin's overall cost of living index was 129.1, meaning that it's 29.1 higher than U.S. average and 37% higher than the Texas average. Now, granted, I lived in Hill Country, which is the nicer part, I believe, of Austin, and that is a little bit more expensive, but we were just kind of on the outskirts of that. We were in a neighborhood and that was kind of close to Lakeway but not in Lakeway. And we just ended up having a lot of expenses. Things were pretty expensive in Austin as far as our bills, as far as our food, and it just didn't really seem like there was any let up, and it just seemed like it was the same as Seattle. Number 4, not the Texas we expected. You know, when I moved into the neighbors, a lot of neighbors were from different parts that were trying to escape from where they're escaping as well. But they didn't have that Texas charm. If you have a bunch of people moving in from different states and you're looking to Texas for that Texas charm and none of your neighbors talk to you and they just are acting like they live in the same states they came from, that's not really Texas. That's not the Texas that I wanted to move to. I wanted to move to a Texas where you walk outside and your neighbors start talking to you like Texans do. So Austin didn't give me that feeling at all. Even my wife said something. You know, we would meet people, but people really kept to themselves. And even our neighborhood, we'd go for bike rides all the time. Kids would bike to school. And I wouldn't see anybody out. I'm not sure what was going on. But, I mean, granted, it was summer, but, I mean, it's not that hot. Jeez Louise. People, get out of your house. Say hello to your neighbor. Come on. Number 5, people were just moving out. I had 3 neighbors in 1 week move to Dallas. And I was like, what are you guys doing here? I asked every single one. I was like, where are all these moving trucks in my neighborhood for? One guy goes, yeah, I'm moving to McKinney. Another guy goes, yeah, I'm moving to Plano. Another one's like, yeah, I'm moving to Rockwall. And I was like, why? And they're like, you know why. I was like, I do know why. The next week, we started going to Dallas and looking at homes. And that kind of prompted me. I was like, why is everybody leaving Austin for Dallas? Let's go check out Dallas and see what the big hubbub is. So we ended up going up to Dallas and checking out many different places on the outskirts of the city, kind of on the northern suburbs and on the eastern suburbs. And we found a house that we really liked in Rockwall, and it wasn't 1,500 square feet like we could afford in Austin. It was 3,700 square feet for the same price. So you could get a much bigger house in Dallas. And that's what a lot of my neighbors were saying when they were moving out as well. They were saying you could get a much bigger house, and it just felt more like the Texas that they envisioned living in. So the housing prices were on point. That's one thing. They have gone up a little bit in Dallas, but I think they're going to soften up a little bit here. They're softening up right now as we speak. And if you get on the outskirts in certain neighborhoods, you can get some really good deals. As far as Dallas goes and police forces, they are not defunding the police at all. We have plenty of police. And in Rockwall, where I live, there's lots of police here, and the police are fair. And they're not jerks or anything. They're just doing their jobs. And there's lots of retired police and military here too. So you feel nice and safe where there's not going to be a lack of police anywhere and over-ramping crime. Now, the cost of living in Dallas compared to Austin, we found that Dallas was a little bit easier on the cost of living. Granted, we are in a smaller town on the outskirts of Dallas. Starting with the home price, just in the first place, is going to be a big thing. And then if you find somewhere with a good tax rate, no MUDs, no PIDs, you know, you're going to be in a good spot if you plan accordingly. Now, the Texas vibe was cracked up to be up here in Dallas. I had a 180 turn on what I was experiencing compared to what I thought was going to be my experience in Austin and the experience that I did have in Dallas area. So when you move to Texas, you really should do some research on where you think you want to live and where you might fit in best and what kind of experience you're thinking that you want from Texas. What are your expectations? These are questions I'm going to ask all my clients to make sure that we not only fit you in the right house, but we also fit you in the right part of Texas. So that wraps up this video. I hope that was informative enough for you. Leave a comment below, click like and subscribe. That always helps with the channel. If you need a realtor in the Dallas area, contact me below. All my information is below. And never stop chasing that dream home.